All right, COVID-19 pandemic chronology video for today, Saturday, 3 December 2022. I am on day 9 of a 2 to 3 week pandemic weight regulation plan using the and then it's day 6 using the Tanis diet with PMS modifications. I was getting a little ahead of myself there. And so yesterday was successful, and I'm on track to finish both my exercise and my food for the day. Per the Tanis diet with PMS modifications, I am not done with either though. So, yeah. And then, so that's the weight regulation update. An update kind of, I guess, concerning business models in the pandemic is, and it relates to my writing work in kind of figuring out how to word and write and publish things about bans on Russia and Russia boycotts and stuff like that this year, 2022. And I was thinking a little bit of like business models and how a lot of those boycotts, so the war between Russia and Ukraine has been going on since like 2014 or something like that, approximately. At least it started being documented more heavily in 2014 kind of thing. But that was kind of, there was always tension there, and it like, I can remember that from like a decade earlier kind of thing. So it wasn't like a surprise war or anything like that. The interesting thing is some companies took boycott measures before 2022, and then there was like a bunch of companies that took boycott measures in 2022. And I would guess, so this is kind of evaluating those choices in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, when consistent theme is there's supply chain issues, there's staffing issues, businesses, retailers might have to close one location, their only location, or they might have to close certain aspects of a business just to because of the pandemic and because of some of the changes that have come with that. And so I would guess there's a bit of it is taking a political stance, but I would also guess a bit of it is just, well, we're already stretched for money, so this thing that we might not like wholeheartedly support one way or another, why not remove business from Russia, right? Kind of thing, since we're already struggling financially and we're trying to decide what stores to close, why not do the one over there? So there's a little bit of a, I would guess that at least some of the boycotts were kind of like that, where it was like, they need to shut down stores anyway, and escalation and conflict was like, we'll just use that as a scapegoat, right? Instead of having to make like the difficult location of, do we close a store in Iowa or do we close a store in Chicago? You know, stuff like that. Which might reflect poorly on their business and they might get a whole lot of retaliation on, kind of thing. So I would guess there's a fair amount of that goes into the actual decision making, whether or not it's communicated that way. I know my sister works at Nestle and is on the executive, she wants to be an executive at Nestle one day. And I know, so she works in like inventory and that kind of thing. And Nestle has pulled a number of its products from Russia. We've heard about this repeatedly. And she was talking about one of the things they have not pulled from Russia because they want to sting Russia next time around is, so there some companies like Nestle are very anti-Russia, so they are very political in their operations. And the reason Nestle did not pull baby formula from Russia is they want to increase that dependency on Nestle baby formula. And the next time, if there isn't a next time in like the escalation of conflict between Russia and Ukraine, they want to pull the baby formula and kill as many Russian babies as they can, because it was like, you shouldn't have been reliant on Nestle baby formula in the first place, which is, some people would consider that very inhumane. I think war crime is war crime. War motive, maybe we'll not call it crime, is because they can, I would hope they would find baby formula elsewhere, other than Nestle, a company trying to kill all the Russian children, at least that used Nestle. I guess there's a bit of, so there's that, and then I guess there's a bit of, if people are pulling out are boycotting Russia or pulling business out of Russia. There's a bit of, considering the war has been going on since 2014, and the seeds of that conflict was at least a decade earlier, I'd say from my perspective, it reflects not poorly on Russia, it reflects very poorly on the business and their ability to make strategic decisions. Because if that's really the trigger, they shouldn't have put their businesses in there in the first place. Like, why were you in Russia in the first place if you're just going to pull out, right? Did you do it just to harm the Russian people? In which case, that would be, like, speaking to the businesses, like, that's far more inhumane than what the Russians are doing, right? Like, just trying to kill all their children through Nestle baby formula. It's like, it's so messed up. Okay, like, so I would say there's a bit of a loss of respect there for businesses that want to slam Russians, but then they put their business in Russia after the start of the conflict or after the start, like the seeds of the conflict, and now they want to take a political stance. It's like, okay, so you literally only put businesses in Russia to take a political statement later. Not with good intent, right? That proves bad faith. It proves bad intent. They did not do it with an intent to, like, help the Russian people. So there's that. Yeah, if I move to Russia, I want to take Top Pot donuts if they like Russia. You know, just be like, we'll take a Top Pot donut near our house, wherever the house may be. And they're like right next door. We'll have a, indoor track right there, outdoor track right there, and a Top Pot donuts. That kind of thing. Yeah, but that's kind of a take I have on the kind of business models during the pandemic in relation to Russia's. I think it's kind of a loss of respect for the companies, oddly enough, not of Russia. And if anything, it's increased my compassion for the Russian people, because I'm like, it really sucks that, why weren't these companies regulated in the first place and their entrance to the country restricted when all they were going to do was take a political stance to harm the Russian people later, which they did now. So there's a very real documentation chain that can prove that. So it's just, yeah. So I would say it's kind of funny because I'm like, from my perspective, that really backfired on those businesses. Funny thing is, those kind of retaliation from customers who see that can take decades to centuries to play out fully. So there, eventually the tide changes against unethical business practices like that. Probably not today, and it might not, like, because those businesses might go out of business before that ever happens, but it also could. So happy Saturday as of filming, and happy day as of viewing.